Welcome to Nkanizatu, the pod that tells indigenous stories every day, the platform that tells you what's good and what's odd for young people and elderly alike in the areas of art, history, and culture preservation. And now your host, Rina Kasongo.
Hi, welcome to the Nkanizatu podcast. My name is Rina Kasongo, and once again, it is always exciting to bring some of your favorite storytellers to share stories of their stories. And today, I can't even describe this feeling, but it's really great to have great storytellers of our time feature on Nkanizatu. It is really, really a privilege. I hope you think the same way as I do, because I am hosting the one and only Yasmin Dodia, producer of Can You See Us, Zambia's very first Netflix movie. Hey guys, this is really going to be nice. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's amazing. I must admit something. I think it was last year. I was checking something on Facebook, and then because I have this habit of checking who's doing what in media, I came across your profile and was just like, oh, superwoman. You know? Because I'm an aspiring filmmaker.
Really?
So I found it really, really inspirational that, especially because you're a female, we don't get to have that many female filmmakers doing so much. So I haven't been a fan per se, but I've really been inspired by what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's humbling.
Yeah.
It's special.
So it was really nice to have to see what you were doing, especially this year when Can You See Us was put on Netflix and things like that.
Yeah.
That was really amazing. But we'll get to talk about that.
We will. There's a lot.
Yeah. Before we start, can you share with me 3 facts about you? Yeah. 2 lies and 1 truth. And I'll need to guess the lie.
2 lies and 1 truth.
Yeah.
Okay. If you've done research, then it'll be hard. Hey. I'm almost 40. I'm a mother of 2. I'm a firstborn.
Wow! Okay. Yeah, you are a mother of 2. Wow. You are firstborn. Wait, what? I said 2 truths and 1 lie. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
You're not almost 40.
Actually, I gave you 3 truths. I am.
What? I've been gamed. I said okay. Wow. Okay.
I figured you would have done enough research. I figured, yeah. So they're all true.
Yeah, I know. I had a feeling you're firstborn.
Really? Does it speak out there?
Kinda leadership.
Really?
Yeah, I can sense you have this strong leadership vibe,
Wow.
and you're also based on research. But I think it takes a lot for a female to just thrive in the film industry. You need to have very strong leadership, because as we all know, firstborns are very great leaders. So
Not all of them. I have younger siblings who are amazing leaders. So for me, it's like our third born. She's got all this wisdom, and she's really a pusher, and yeah, she's just such a good leader. So for me, it's like, well, I don't know if it's firstborn. A lot of the time, I'm running to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's sister.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. Anyway, of course, you are a mommy of 2.
I am
2 girls. Yeah.
2 girls. Yes. I have 2 very strong little girls that I'm raising.
Well, that's not a surprise. I think we'll see that a lot from mommy.
I guess, yes. And daddy. Daddy's a good dad. He's implanted a lot of positive traits in him. So I can't take the glory of that one. My husband is an amazing dad. Yeah.
Talking of children, what was little Yasmin like when she was growing up?
Little Yasmin, before the age of about 13, very quiet, very reserved, very in her own head. Very soft, sensitive person. I think I still am. After the age of 13, I found my voice. I had opinions that I wanted to share. I was curious about the world. So I questioned a lot of things around me. That's who I was. But the little girl was very quiet. Yeah, very afraid of life.
Oh, okay. And now she's not.
Yeah, no. When you get to this point, you're kind of like, I'm good. I'm okay. The fear is there, but it's not major. Yeah.
Great. And then how did the passion for storytelling start as you were growing up?
I
Or at
was,
what point would you say, okay, this is when this passion boomed?
I'll say this, I did not start out with an interest in storytelling or producing. For many years I worked corporate. I have a degree in marketing management. So I did the corporate jobs for a long time. And then I was in between jobs, and my now husband, who ran a media production house, was like, look, I need somebody with your organizational skills, your push, your drive, how orderly I am, and all of that, to come on board with us because we have a project. And that was my first time stepping into film and understanding cameras and what goes on a set. And that piqued my interest. It was an amazing experience. What was supposed to be a short gig of 3 weeks has turned out, yeah, it's almost 12 years.
I want to ask how long that has been.
Yeah, if not, maybe actually just over 12 years.
Let's talk about Can You See Us? Everyone has, I mean, for someone that's not aware, Can You See Us is Zambia's very first Netflix movie, and Yasmin was the producer of that. First of all, how did it get to you taking up the role of producer? And then also, how did this story come to life as we saw it to be in brief terms? I know it's a very long story to tell, but just briefly.
I would say, okay, so the story came to me through Mr. Lawrence Thompson, the executive producer. He wrote the story. And he had been trying to reach out to my husband for the longest time to get him to work together. And my husband is a director, and he directed Can You See Us? So I think he found he wasn't getting through to my husband. My husband is really busy. So if he's not flying up and down or working on sets, it becomes a bit difficult. So Mr. Thompson reached out to me and said, look, I've got this project and this story, and I got him to meet with my husband. And I got to read the script, and I loved the story. I was like, this is unique. Nothing like this has ever been told. The story of albinism, the struggles of people living with albinism, from an African perspective, a Zambian story. And I fell in love with the story immediately. And I said to my husband, this is going to be our first feature film. And I know he had other plans, and and I was like, no, this is gonna be the first feature film. This is a beautiful story. So yeah, that's how it came to me. In terms of putting it together, it was, I've been in production for quite a while. It's pretty much the same thing, assembling a team, figuring out what shots you wanna get, figuring out what locations you wanna work with, how you wanna bring the story to life, and sitting with a director and writer and bringing this story into fruition. It took time, but it was worth it.
Were you also part of the scripting, developing the script?
No, Mr. Lawrence Thompson did that, and then of course we had extra writers to come and assist and tweak here and there, but he wrote the story.
Okay, because there are a few other languages used. So now I wanted to find out from you, how many languages you speak?
I speak English. My Nyanja I speak, but you guys will laugh if I speak Nyanja. It's not the best, but yeah.
And Bemba?
No.
Oh, not even a bit.
I can kind of understand it, but I can't speak it.
Bemba. I like Bemba a lot.
Oh, really?
So I thought we'd have that conversation. That's all right.
I don't speak it, but I can understand when people ask me, I'm like, oh, okay, I get the gist of the story.
Okay.
Yes.
And then a lot of people have been asking this question. How do you get to have the movie on Netflix? How was that for you? Like, how do you push? Trying to push. How is the process? Really?
We've gotten so many questions around this. So basically, I know there's this whole concept of, okay, so you guys got your movie on Netflix. How do we do it? It's literally knocking on doors and literally sending emails out and asking questions and saying, look, I want to get my movie on Netflix. How do we do this? How do we do this? Sometimes you get ignored. Sometimes you won't get feedback. And there were phases like that for us. I think it was more than 6 months, maybe almost a year before we got proper feedback. But yeah, not giving up. Keep sending those emails. Keep looking around for context and saying, this is my direction, and just having that tenacity, which a lot of people have said to me, but that's not what we're looking for. And I say, that's exactly what it is. It's not giving up.
Yeah.
Can you see us as a story? How long did it take for you guys to work on that project?
It was 3 weeks of pre-production prep, 38 days of filming, um, more than a year of post-production. Yeah.
Post production.
About a year, maybe a little bit more.
For someone that is not into film, what exactly is post production? What's editing?
Yeah, right. So your pre-production is your planning. I'll go through all three. Your pre-production is your planning stage. It's putting everything together, assembling your team, figuring out your equipment, basically creating a workforce, right? And getting all your resources together. Production, of course, is your filming phase. It's managing day by day, shot by shot. Post production is your editing, it's your color grading, it's your voiceovers if you need to, it's sound, it's music. You'll notice with Can You See Us, all the music in that story was created for that story. None of it is adapted from somewhere else. So it's very Zambian, very authentic. So yeah, that also took time.
Okay. You being a female that took up leadership for this project, because there are not a lot of, in my opinion, there aren't a lot of female filmmakers that are taking up leadership in terms of director and producer. What was the experience like for you? And okay, not just for you, Can You See Us, but generally, how has it been for you having to take up major roles in film projects?
It's not easy. There are very few female producers around Africa. So that already is a challenge. I think even in the world there aren't that many, but there are some. But around Africa it's not very common. Maybe in South Africa more. It really takes you having to put in the extra effort. It's
By extra effort, what do you mean exactly?
I would say basically you would have to be a strong-willed woman. You would have to be a very organized person, maybe even more organized than the average guy that would produce. You've got to be able to handle teams. Um, people management. People management is key. So being female, being in an industry that's male dominated is not easy, but it's so doable. I'm here. So if I'm here, you're here,
Yeah.
then it can be done. But it does take a very strong will, a very, very strong will. And I will say this, people have this misconception about producing, that you're the liked person. They aim to be producers who are like, oh, well, everybody likes me. And it doesn't work that way. No.
And have you ever faced any form of stigma or anything by you being female and a producer?
Me being female, definitely there are undertones from time to time. I'm grateful that I have teams that I put together that support me, have been amazing, and I have a husband who's a director and very strong in terms of supporting my dream. But yes, from time to time there are undertones. I remember once, I won't mention names, but I remember once sitting at a table and a gentleman asked me, I never produced series. And before I could answer, he answered the question on my behalf. And I was like, oh, well, I'm sure you can't handle that type of pressure. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just never addressed it from because at the end of the day, you have to pick and choose your battles. You're female, yes, and embrace your femininity. Be soft, be beautiful, and that's what we are. But with that comes being able to lead, being more organized, and we are more organized as females. We also have a lot more foresight, and we should use the positive traits of being female to help us enhance our work.
When you sent me your profile and I saw your photo when you was partner, I was thinking, sure, this is a good actress, you know. Have you ever done acting?
I'm actually terrible on camera.
Okay.
Terrible.
Maybe the camera allows you like the visuals and whatnot, but being in character maybe would be an issue.
I'm not comfortable. This is the weirdest thing. I'm actually not comfortable with front of camera. For the longest time, I avoided it. And people say, oh, could be. And I'm like, no, no, no. I guess with Can You See Us, people want to know more about the story. But generally, being in front of camera for me is not my thing. I love to be behind camera.
That. Like, I really think you would do well in acting as well.
Really?
Yeah. I think maybe if people have told you that or you have thought about it.
No. I love being behind camera. I'm the one shouting in the background a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Getting back to Can You See Us? I saw this post today where it was on the recommendations of emotional movies you want to watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's so nice,
You do your research.
just having Zambian content on Netflix platform. Is really rich. But then for you, how does that make you feel when you get to see such?
In the beginning, when it first got on Netflix, first you get the news. Okay, so Netflix is interested in the movie and this and that, and you're having these conversations. For me, it was kind of like, is this really happening? Is this really what it's happening? You know? And then when I could see Can You See Us on the screen, on the Netflix screen, I was like, wow, this is big. This is big. And it's humbling. It's a very humbling experience. It's also a very proud moment. We've come a long way in with the film industry in Zambia. So to see something like this happen and to be a part of it, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think Can You See Us will be probably it will stick with me for a long time. It will stick with me for a long time. Yeah.
And what I like about the Can You See Us, because I think for me it's just beyond a film. It's like an advocacy to where we are wanting people to see people with albinism, yes, as the people that they are.
Yes.
And that's something I love, where we're just making it known these are people just like we are. And it's really amazing. Like it's great advocacy too for me. And like you're saying, it's gonna be part of you for a long time. Yeah.
And
So
I think
you are changing the perception of how people feel.
I am so grateful that that is happening. There's a lot of people that we are literally not seeing. I like how Sydney said it. We can see you, yeah, and I'm very proud of that. That is actually coming to light. We need to treat our brothers and sisters with love and kindness and acceptance. But with that being said, I will say African stories told by Africans are really, really rich. Nobody else can tell our stories the way we do, the way we feel Africa, the way we view Africa, the way we experience it as Africans. And I think with storytelling and Can You See Us specifically, it's like that's what it was. It was Africans telling an African story.
If you were to do your own story, I don't know if you've already written down some of your stories. What are some stories that you guys? Oh, producer Yasmin is giving us this.
I've been trying to write myself for a while. It's been hard.
So yeah, right.
I'm stepping into it. But the type of stories I have personally are very different from Can You See Us? I also don't want to be kind of boxed and say, oh, this is the type of stories.
What are the genres of those stories?
The genre, it's very dark. It's very dark. Some people, I think the first time my husband read a piece of my work, he was like, this is dark. And I was like, yeah. He said, this is you. This is crazy. I never expected you to write something.
But why dark? Why do you feel the need to write those kind of stories?
I didn't plan to. I think with writing with me, it's never come across as I need to write this or I need to write that. It was something that intrigued me, and the story started to flow, and I just wrote it that way, and I'm still writing it. But yeah, it's not a happy, emotional.
Okay, we'll be seeing it anytime soon and straight in.
Let me get through the writing first. There's still a bit to be done. Yeah. But one day.
I know you've had to. Before I get to that, in your filmmaking process, what has been your major challenge in having to rise? I know you mentioned it, but then just maybe share an instance that was very challenging, where you're like, you know what, I think I'm just going back to corporate and leaving these people with cameras. And yeah,
there's been many. Wow. And that happens often. The sleepless nights. Our sets run really long hours, sometimes 14 hours a day on a set. You get tired after a while. I mean, think about Can You See Us? It's 38 days straight of shooting, and yes, you have a break in between. One day, we gave the team 1 day a week to rest, but technically with production office, production office was literally still working on their off days. I remember calling people and saying, yeah, I know you think you're off today, but you have this and this and this to do. So the exhaustion gets to you. Coming from a country where the film industry is still growing, I remember reaching a point a few years ago where I said to myself, I said, we're not making money, we're not pushing as hard as we want to, we're not getting ourselves out there. And I was like, I'm ready to throw in the towel and just give up on this stuff. Like TV, camera, doesn't make sense to me anymore. You know, I've got 2 kids, I've got big responsibilities. And I think God just spoke into my heart and said to me, follow your passion. He's carried me this far. What you think you don't have, what you think you need. He's held you up all this time. Why would he fail you now? So I was like, that's actually true. As much as we get frustrated in the waiting, we get frustrated in the growth phase, it's important to go through those phases. It prepares you for what is to come.
You mentioned the long hours working on film sets. How was that? What has been the impact in regards to you being a mom and having to create that balance of I need to be on set, but baby girl has to go to the hospital, or I need to do school runs and things like that?
Here's the thing I have. So a lot of people will be maybe shocked. I don't know. They'll have opinions. When I'm on set, I really leave the set. That's one rule I have. And that happens with my crew as well. They do not have set. It's put your commitment to where you need to be at that time. In terms of managing and juggling, it's taken years. There's times I've been worn out, I've been totally fatigued because you're trying to balance being a mom, or I've been pregnant on a set, I've been breastfeeding on a set. I remember after my second daughter, I had a C-section. I was on a set 3 weeks later, and my baby was being held in the car, and I would go on set, walk off, go and breastfeed, walk back onto set, and we would still clock 18 hours a day. So I'm not a hero. I wouldn't use that. I think any woman should do that. Sometimes it's circumstance. It's an individual pull. The balancing is really tough. Being a wife, being a mom, being somebody's daughter, somebody's friend. It's very hard. It's hard to even have friendships because people are like, you're never available. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. I have kids, I have a home, I have a husband, I have my parents, I've got my best, my siblings. By the time you're done on set, there's not much time. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is you have very little time to get involved in negative stuff. You're too focused on what you need to do.
I was just imagining your mom having to breastfeed and then go back on set. That is really amazing. You should be proud of this. I think if you haven't reminded yourself that you need to be proud of yourself, you really need to do this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have worked in a few other countries other than Zambia. What is the work culture? How would you compare the work culture of Zambian storytellers as compared to other countries, Namibia, Kenya, and things like that?
I think in other African countries, filmmakers have bigger industries than what we have here. That's for starters. Secondly, not every terrain is as, I find it easier to shoot here at home than in some other countries. Some other countries are really, it's complex. It's crazy complex. So of course, there's the comfort of being at home, and I take that as an advantage when I'm at home. I'm like, it's gonna be easier for me to juggle it. In terms of the storytellers, and people are pushing more and more creative out there. But the beautiful thing that I'm seeing now in Zambia is people are encouraged. People have amazing stories. From your writers to your directors in Zambia that are doing amazing stuff. We're literally like in that blooming phase. So there's a lot to look forward to locally. But outside of Zambia, look, there's markets like Nigeria that are massive. It's hard for our industry, film industry here in Zambia to compete because that's a huge population that loves, Nigerian movies. There's the South African industry, which is so developed as opposed to ours. They have structures in place. You don't necessarily even need to own equipment and stuff like that. You can go to a hiring house. So it empowers the young filmmakers, and those who are trying to get their stories out there. Whereas in Zambia, we literally, it's a push and it's a push.
Interesting. We unfortunately have to end the conversation, but before we do, I have two gifts for you.
I like you.
Okay. One is a book by Mary Smakumlenga. It's called Destiny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Mary was one of Zambia's first advocates back then, and she's former NGOCC chairperson. She's one of the authors at Social Publishers, the institution that's powering this podcast.
Destined.
Yeah, Destiny.
Women who are destined.
Yeah, and the other one is a Kanizatu branded notebook.
Thank you.
Because-
You just need this.
Yes.
So this for me is gold because my husband will tell you I spend a lot of time taking notes and planning. I see all these MacBooks around here. Yeah, I have one, but it starts here.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So from Social Publishers and Kanizatu to you, I hope you enjoy reading Destiny and probably give a review.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Train Publishers. Thank you. This is amazing. So I love gifts.
Thank you. Nice. Just as you're looking through that camera, what would be your words to an aspiring female filmmaker?
Okay. To my girls out there, don't give up. Keep pushing. What you don't have right now doesn't matter. What you need, you already have inside you, and that's where to start. It's the passion, it's the push, it's the tenacity to never give up. So to my female filmmakers out there, keep pushing. It's gonna come, it's gonna happen one day, and we haven't yet made it. We have a long way to go, but keep pushing.
Thank you, Yasmin, for coming on. I enjoyed this conversation.
You guys are, youthful and energetic, and I'm like, I wonder if I'll say stuff that will make sense.
Oh, you were a total vibe, even more than I think.
So now I'm going to go adjust to teenagers.
Oh wow. This is what Nkatizatu aims to do. We bring some of your favorite storytellers. I hope Yasmin is also one of your favorite storytellers or about to be your favorite storyteller. And something I have picked from this episode is that a story is like a baby. You have to nurture it, you have to groom it, and more, you could also describe it like a plant. You have to water it, you have to dedicate your time, your resources, and all things. Yasmin has given a beautiful story of what her journey has been like and the sacrifices she has had to make. It is really beautiful. So Kanizatu is powered by Social Publishers, a publishing firm that's focused on producing, promoting, and distributing indigenous values literature. But beyond just literature, this is what Social Publishers aim to do. They want to share stories, and what better way than creating a platform where storytellers can come on board and inspire you with what they have achieved in regards to telling their stories. Until next time, be sure to subscribe. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, or whatever time that you're going to be watching and listening to this podcast. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you guys. I'm sure you edit it well so you can leave out unnecessary stuff.
It was unnecessary.